Mr. President! Thanks.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Marvel at the Movies. I'm Kyle, joined here by my co-host, Doug. How are you today?
Doing great, Kyle. Doing great. Very excited about this episode. It's going to be very informative, and it's also going to be exciting, I think. Too.
Yes.
It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to this. And yeah, let's hit the road, man.
All right, yes. But before we actually go into the episode, I wanted to actually hand it over to Doug for a bit so Doug can go over our weekly sponsor. So
Absolutely. Our sponsor for this episode is Zeitung Organizing. And feeling overwhelmed with a room, cabinet, or drawer that needs to be organized. I know we all have. We all have a drawer. We all have a cabinet, a closet that we open it up, throw something in real quick, and then close the door real quick so the stuff doesn't fall out. You got to do that. Hey, listen, contact Zeitung Organizing. They work really, really hard to create and organize any space that you want. And the space will look different. It'll be a joy to spend time in. So again, remember Zeitung Organizing, creating a stress-free home. That is our sponsor for this week.
all right, thank you very much, Doug. Appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And so before going into, so we're actually gonna where this episode we're talking about Captain Marvel, because that was the movie that Doug just saw recently, and we'll definitely go a little back and forth on that, and we'll also deep dive into some Marvel cinematic history. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the old movies in the series and in Marvel in general. So but first I wanted to start with answering the question from last week. So I'm sure you'll remember. So I asked the question to you and also to fans who are listening, I should say, which actor donned the Batman and Superman costume? Which one was the only actor to ever do that? At least on the big screen.
Yeah, and I actually pulled around and I thought about it real hard. I'm probably going to kick myself when I get the answer. And I know it's kind of not a complicated question, but it's kind of an interesting answer to the question. I asked around and I still don't know the answer. So we want to find out what the answer is. So tell us, Kyle.
Okay, so the way I asked the question was, it was all in kind of the wording of the question. So
yeah, I figured.
So technically, so I will say the answer right off the bat. So the answer is Ben Affleck.
Okay.
So you're thinking, okay, we know he's Batman, right? We know for a long time he's been in several of the DC Extended Universe movies. He was in Batman v Superman, Justice League, and Suicide Squad for a bit. But you're thinking, okay, when did he ever wear the Superman costume? So back in 2006, there was this little movie that came out. And ironically, 2006, that was also the same year that Superman Returns came out with Brandon Routh as Superman. But another little movie came out, which was actually about Superman actor George Reeves. And so Ben Affleck actually played George Reeves in kind of like a mystery movie, a mystery biopic style movie. And because I don't know if you know much about George Reeves' history, but he had a very it was a little bit ambiguous on how he passed away. So the movie kind of delves into it's kind of like a half and half. Like you see the detective side of things. These detectives played by, one of them played by Adrian Brody, kind of he goes about the movie trying to solve what happened. How did George Reeves die? And you get to see Ben Affleck in flashbacks of the movie. And he plays George Reeves. And yes, he does have a scene where you get to see him in the Superman costume, in the classic George Reeves version. And technically I figured, just kind of a fun little fact. And also,
that's
sorry,
awesome.
One little fun fact too about that movie, that kind of blows my mind too, was George Reeves. So Ben Affleck's character was with Diane Lane. And I don't know if you know, but Diane Lane played Superman's mother in the reboot Man of Steel. So just wanted to throw that.
I gotcha. See, it's all tying in, man. It's all tying in. That's great. That's great. That's great. I didn't even realize that. It is in the wording of the question. That's great.
Thank you. No, just kind of fun, like, because it's not something really you can. There's not really many actors that really don, like, especially two of the biggest DC heroes of all time. It's like you don't really see that every day, so that'd be kind of a fun thing to ask.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's awesome.
But I did want to also kind of move on to Captain Marvel, and I know you said you watched that recently, so I was going to start off with you, Doug, and just let me know what you thought. What did you think of the movie?
I thought it was. I thought it put some things together, which is something about Marvel that I happen to like a lot. You know, going back to series that you watch, movies that you watch that are trilogies, and we're going to talk about some of that in a little bit. But going back to the Future, or going back to Star Trek, or even Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the trilogies, a lot of the movies that have either sequels or next, the Avengers will be back kind of situations. Every one of these is strategically placed in, and this is just what I'm noticing about watching and starting and almost finishing up this next phase. As we're watching them with my daughter before she goes off to school. So I've noticed that these are all interconnected in some way. When I first heard of Captain Marvel, and I'll tell you right up front, when I heard of Captain Marvel, and I am completely not sexist, I'm absolutely not. When I heard Captain Marvel, I thought that it was about a man. I did.
Okay.
And I don't really know why. It has nothing to do with anything except when you think Captain and you think Marvel, that this is what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, this is a very, very fierce, strong, energetic character. And I should mention the last word, which is probably the most true of all: powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Super powerful. I mean, yeah, super powerful. I just, and I had to take some notes down because I at first didn't have the pad in front of me, and then all of a sudden started to get into different things. I'm like, oh no, I gotta write some notes down. It's not that I'll forget the movie. It's just I wanted to write some very specific notes down so I could, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a little slow at the beginning.
Yeah.
The beginning was a little like, okay, got it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
When are we moving to the good part? Okay, this is okay. Now you're continuing. Okay, let's keep going. I just thought the beginning was, but I noted that in a box that it was. I thought it was slow, just at the beginning part.
Mm-hmm.
I just obviously, Stan Lee's last cameo. Which is sad because in every movie I'm always looking for him, and we're all saying it together. My wife and my daughter and I also, hey Stan. So it's like I'd like to look for him in another movie, and I know he's not there. But I just like I thought the beginning was slow, the middle was very good, and the ending was exceptional. I thought it was really cool that the movie it was like a little bit of a flashback. The movie took place in about 1995. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool because when you look at 1995, I mean, there was so many things that were out there that's not around now, like Blockbuster Video. That is one thing
She would
that
have
I
been in
thought.
Blockbuster when she like first falls to Earth. That was great.
Exactly. So I thought that was really, really cool. I actually still have my Blockbuster card. So I amazingly,
I mean, we're from
um,
Alaska. There's one left in Alaska if you want to
yeah,
try.
right, exactly. I'll have to go there to use it. Unfortunately, um, I thought the beginning fight sequence was just a bit confusing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair.
because I was like, what, maybe I didn't quite get it at first. So, um, I didn't really like how they left the area. It kind of looked a little fake.
Hmm.
Um, you know, how they, Wakanda. Okay, when you go into Wakanda, you like go into some trees, but you gotta find the trees that you're supposed to go into. So you either crash into trees or you go into Wakanda.
Yeah,
So I loved the fact that it was almost like, you know, when they went into Wakanda that time, um, not in this movie, obviously, but in
hmm
Black Panther movie, I noticed that when they went into the trees, it was almost like they were. The only thing I could think of when I saw what they did, I mean, they kind of melded right into there. So it was almost like they very smooth kind of thing. This one didn't seem smooth. It seemed very fake to me. Didn't seem like the Wakanda one, the Black Panther one seemed like a cloaking device.
yeah.
That's what it seemed like to me
Hmm.
from Star Trek. That's what it seemed like.
Hmm.
This one seemed very, but like when they did it, it seemed like they could have done it a little bit better. And I don't really know why. I mean, they have the ways and the means to be able to do it. So
Yeah,
I was trying
especially
to
the
figure
budget.
out. Yeah, just it looked fake. It didn't look. It just almost looked like they did a cut and they cut in the wrong place or something. That's kind of what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
Excuse me. I love the Radio Shack. The Radio Shack was there too.
yeah,
So I love that. Go to Radio Shack. That's another, you know, kind of olden days kind of situation. It's not old, but it's just a place where you go and you can get all kinds of electronic equipment, but you can also get like, switches and knobs and all kinds of stuff like
connections
that.
and
So I
wires.
thought that was,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So I thought that was really very, very cool. I thought what was interesting was the Marvel or Marvel.
Marvel. Yeah,
Yeah, Marvel. So I thought that was kind of interesting, that little connection there too. Um, I love the fact that Agent Coulson's back. I love his character. His
yeah,
character is
great.
so good. And by the way, he was on the West Wing in the '90s. He played an FBI agent on the West Wing.
Oh, okay, right
Yes.
Valley there.
So just throwing it out there to anybody that wants to watch the West Wing. I can't remember what episode it was because I think they did about 11 or 12 seasons. The later seasons. Not the first couple, I don't think, but kind of later seasons with Rob Lowe and a couple other Martin Sheen too. So anyway, he was in that. So it was nice to see him in this, but nice to see him back. Again, taking place in 1995.
Yeah,
I understand why he's there. And of course, the just talked in pregame about how pre-show about how the cat. Let's talk about the cat and how the cat is significant in this. Where I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I didn't write it down. Yeah, yes, and not the cat's name, but the guy how he
Oh,
lost his eye.
Nick Fury, right?
Right, right. How Nick actually lost his eye was something that we were wondering about, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, There it is. Now we know. You know, you see a young. I like how they made him all young and everything. So they made him really, kind of
Yeah, he looks great,
younger.
like he was in Pulp Fiction all over again.
Yeah, exactly. He looks great. I mean, it's really they did a really good job in de-aging him. I guess you could say.
I gotta say
Um,
that was hands down. I think the best de-aging effect I think that they've done in any Marvel movie was what they do with Sam Jackson. That was fantastic.
It really did. It really did a great job. Great job with that. I did mark down in stars energy core craziness.
Yeah.
Energy core craziness. Absorb the core's power. I also have starred. Um, transfusion, decloaking device. I also have down here Dr. Wendy Lawson. Yeah, I was a little confused about this too. It's almost like they put in her head that she was a human. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just seemed like really kind of. I mean, she was, but it just.
Initially, she was, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I mean, I wasn't really confused. I mean, I really liked the movie a lot because it answered a ton of questions.
Mhm.
I just thought it was kind of a little bit slow. I love the Blockbuster Video and Radio Shack stuff. Shape shifting. Who doesn't like that? I mean,
Yeah,
I
right.
wish I could. That'd be kind of cool. Um, to be able to do that. But all in all, I thought it was, the only real sad part of it was the fact that Stan Lee's not going to be in any of the other movies
Yeah.
as a cameo. But other than that, I thought the whole movie, after at least the beginning of it, seemed to flow a lot better and was actually really good.
Yeah. Nice. No, I agree. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I could see why.
And yeah, like I'm not saying it's a bad movie either. Like going off from your points, Doug, like I do agree. I do agree that it does kind of take a little while to pick up. And I think the editing sometimes and just kind of the flow of the story does kind of like seem a bit choppy.
Yeah.
And I really love Brie Larson. I think she was really great in the role.
She was phenomenal. She was
Like
phenomenal.
like she's one of the best female superheroes I've seen. Like I know
And
this.
go ahead.
Oh no, were you about to say?
No, I was about to say, and by the way, I just want to tell all of our fans that Kyle, if Brie Larson were to ask him to marry him, he would do it in a heartbeat. So it's like I was just gonna give Brie a call. Hello, Brie. Yeah, watch our show Marvel at the Movies. Yes, yeah. There's a guy named Kyle, and he really likes you a lot. Oh, okay, you right? Okay, great. Great. I'll send him. Send you all of his.
I'll buy the ring, Brie. It's okay.
Exactly. We saw it off camera. I just had to say it though, but it was so off the cuff. It was awesome. Just the way you said it, it was great. But yeah, I thought her performance was fabulous. I mean, she was great.
Yeah, no, she was amazing, and just quick side note, this is just me gushing more over Brie Larson, pretty much.
No worries.
She's apparently in real life she's a Nintendo fangirl, and she has a Switch. She loves playing video games and all that stuff, and she's also very open to playing if they ever do a live action Metroid movie. I don't know if you guys know the Metroid series. It's like a sci-fi side-scrolling / first-person shooting, depending on which game you talk about, series. That she would be the main character, Samus, who is a badass chick in like a really cool like spacesuit and
wow, that would be cool,
right? And the thing is, like, recently they actually updated her look, and she looks so much like Brie Larson. She has blonde hair. I'm like, that is Brie Larson. Like, just put her in that. Put her in the suit.
They probably heard her say that. That's probably why they changed it around. So
yeah,
it makes the characters look. So it makes sense. No, that's great. That's awesome. That totally makes sense. Love it.
Yeah. easily. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
totally. I'd be first in line for that movie.
No,
So
it totally makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, but no, I think I thought it was like I'm trying to like just
No
get
worries.
a word there.
It's I get it, man. Who's used to hear her name? I totally understand. I totally get it. Go ahead.
Like,
All
Bree,
good.
where's,
It's free. I mean, free. Why?
my love.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you're not the only one, though. Go, Kyle. I'm sure.
Yeah,
But I totally get it.
probably have to get in line. It's okay.
Yeah. The only last thing I have on here is keep the Tesseract on Earth.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I have down here on the bottom of the page.
Right. Nice. So it's good. A good advice to live
That's my note. That's my note on the bottom of the page. There. It's kind of crazy.
But no, it was a fun time, and she was so I was gonna say, so my favorite scenes in that movie, the scenes I thought that worked the best were her scenes with Samuel L. Jackson. I like their kind of like banter, kind of like their buddy sort of cop thing that they had going on. I thought that was really cool. Those are always my favorite parts. And I think action scene wise, I like the train scene. I thought the train scene was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially when she found out she was chasing these aliens called the Skrulls. And I thought that really made the scene interesting because it's like, oh, you don't know who they could be. Like, that, like you were talking about earlier, it added an extra kind of interesting element to the movie. And also
shape shifting, they could be anybody.
Yeah. And it's really great. And you'll see how they kind of play into later movies. Like it's interesting what they do and like how they do it and everything.
Oh, definitely. And my next movie is Endgame, and I hear that this is the biggie. So this is the big kahuna, so to speak. So we talked about that in pre-show also, but just a little bit. My daughter was saying, so, she wants to come on the show really, really badly, I'm sure. So we'll probably have her on soon.
Yeah. So
I'm just gonna introduce her and then just step back and step away and let her talk about it. But yeah, so no, definitely. I thought it was definitely thought it answered a lot of questions.
Yep.
I thought Bree was great. I thought the shape shifting was awesome. The train scene absolutely great because you don't know who is that. Is that the person? Is that a shapeshifter or is that somebody I'm supposed to grab or somebody real? You never know. So that was pretty cool. They kind of incorporated that in there. And again, lots of questions answered in this.
Yeah. And an interesting thing about the Skrulls too. So in the comics, they're actually villains. So they're like generally regarded as like just like this like reoccurring alien race that the Avengers have to fight. But I like the twist in the movie because it kind of threw off a lot of the comic book viewers too. I liked how they actually painted them as good in this movie. Sorry, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen Captain Marvel, but I mean it's been out for a few years, so at this point, whatever.
You haven't seen it like me for a few years. You're really behind.
Yeah.
But I get it. I understand.
But I liked how they painted them as good guys and how they were actually refugees and they had to like hide in this like spaceship and everything. And I thought that was an interesting way of introducing these types of characters and this whole alien race actually in the movie. So that's another thing I really loved. I thought they really threw you in for a loop kind of in that sense, which was in a good way.
Absolutely. The only thing I was a little, and I wasn't really discouraged about it, but the only thing I had a little bit of a problem with was it really took a while to kind of get to that point.
Yeah.
It was really, and I understand why, because they had to kind of tell a little bit of a story. So I understand that, but it just took, it seemed to me that it took like forever. I'm like, okay, we got this. So, but that's the only part that at the beginning that I thought that. But other than that, I thought everything else was just fantastic, as usual with these Marvel movies. I find that there's nothing, typically they may have some flaws here and there, but they don't have a lot of flaws. So they're very good.
No, that's true. They're very like at the very least you love them or hate them. they're consistent. I'm very amazed at how they were able to create this entire universe and make the movies for the most part just very consistent. There's no like awful movie that you should 100% skip, like in that mix. So like the movies range from I'd say like good to great, good to amazing. So I definitely
Absolutely, and not only that, not only do they answer each movie answers a question.
hmm
Each movie that I've done, and I've tried to look at it logically. Each movie. So you look at each movie and you're like, you see the next movie, and like, oh, okay, I get that. Now I understand.
yeah.
Like I saw 2 movies ago where something happened, and now it's makes sense now. That's why you need to watch the movie in phases.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, there are certain movies you can watch that it won't throw you off.
hmm
But like for instance, if you don't watch Black Panther at the right time, before Infinity, right?
hmm
Because they go to Wakanda and Infinity War,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. But if you don't watch Black Panther before Infinity War, you'll be like, "What the hell are they?
Yeah, right. Like, what is this place? Like,
Why did they go there? I mean, I don't understand it. Wait a minute, who's that character?
yeah,
Okay, well, they introduced him in a movie that you could have seen before, but you didn't see it before. That's what I'm talking about. That's how they interconnect them. Is
hmm
that you have to maybe watch this one over here and learn about this character, and then go to where they're all together and they're all fighting one entity or 12 entities, whatever it is. But still, you would really be confused if you didn't watch that. That's why we're so specific, and we're following my daughter's order watching these movies,
yeah.
for that reason.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
And so, actually, speaking of the incredible success of the MCU, I wanted to go over to the more, I guess you could say, varied, the more questionable. How do I even how do I even put this? Um, the the live action MCU, or the live action Marvel um, universe that came to be before what we know now, and it definitely more varying success. Like some
Um.
movies are great, and other
Yeah.
movies, well, they're not great. That admittedly, there you watch them and you're like, ooh, this did not age well. I'm sure you've seen any amount of superhero movies, and this happens with DC too. I feel like any kind of superhero series has its great movies, and then you just have these movies that are just, they're so painful to watch. You just can't watch it. And then, in my opinion, there's kind of the middle of the pack movies that are just so bad, but you can't help but watch them because they're just too much fun to not to watch. So, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but before I kind of dive into that, I was actually gonna ask you, Doug, what were some of the very first Marvel movies that you remember watching, or even just the ones that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I told people a long time ago. I mean, I could start with the Super Friends, but that was more of a cartoon. But the ones that I
Just
that I
superheroes in general,
watched,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, the ones that was a Saturday morning. You watched it, Batman and Robin and Aquaman and Superman and all that kind of stuff. So, although all those guys, and those were almost like the first Avengers, I guess you could say, with everybody together and fighting crime and fighting, making sure people were okay and that kind of thing. But when you're really talking about, and as we're talking, I just thought of another one,
Nice.
but it has nothing to do with Marvel, but it's a TV show from the 80s, and I'll tell you about it in a couple minutes. But I just wanted to get, it started out with The Amazing Spider-Man is something that I watched, and that was a TV show that went from 1977 to 79. And everybody watched it because it was one of the first that was out there. Another one was Incredible Hulk, which is also a TV show.
Yeah.
Around the same time as that. Yeah, around the same time as that. You have the same concept, except you just have the Hulk. So it's just that gamma ray scientist, um, you know, doing something that he shouldn't have done, and all of a sudden, if he gets angry, he turns green. He breaks out of it. I mean, Lou Ferrigno was the guy who Bill Bixby played David Banner.
Yep.
Bruce or David.
So the original was David in the show.
That's what I thought.
Bruce
Right.
is actually in the movies. They actually had him be Bruce since the 2003 Hulk and on. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, because I knew it was David Banner. Because that's how I grew up. I grew up with David Banner.
Yeah.
in the TV series. Bill Bixby played him, and Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk. And he would do the same thing. He would get angry. He would break out of his shirt. He'd be all green, and he would save people or be able to take care of the bad guys.
Yeah.
The next one was Wonder Woman. I mean, anybody.
Yeah, Linda Carter.
Anybody that didn't watch Linda Carter should go back, because I know it's streaming. I don't know where it's streaming. I can find out. Oh, is it HBO Max?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
I know.
Gotcha. But Linda Carter was one of those very, very beautiful, sexy actresses from the 80s, mostly late 70s, early 80s. And she was one of those, and she wore this outfit, and anybody that was in their teens or at least preteen would be like, I'm watching that show. So it's just the way it went back then. So, but she also was very typical Wonder Woman, but it was very typical, 70s, I guess you could say. And I'll go over that in a second. But I wanted to also bring up something else, some other TV show that was in the 80s that I just remembered. And there's actually a hit song came from it too, unbelievably. And I'll tell you what that is too. And that was the Greatest American Hero, who is actually a superhero too. Not Marvel. I don't think he came from Marvel. It was just one of those things where I think in the 80s you wanted to have, there was so much going on with Russia, and oh my God, is something going to happen, and nuclear weapons and all this kind of stuff. We needed heroes. We needed to watch, people in hero kind of positions, and it got people to, think about the military, because some of it was part of that. And I guess that's kind of the other only thing I can think of is what I grew up on was it's more of an astronaut kind of thing. Steve Austin, $6 Million Man. I mean, again, not necessarily a superhero, but yes, he was, because he was half mechanical and he could see long distances. His arms and legs were all, I can't say super, but they were all mechanical, and they made him jump really high and run really fast and that kind of thing. So if you think about it, and he was an astronaut and had an accident, and they said that they could rebuild him and all this kind of stuff. So, and some of the
with Stone Cold Steve Austin, by the way. So
right. No, that's not the same character, but yes, this was his character name was Steve Austin, played by Lee Majors.
Oh,
who, by the way, was married to Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, okay. One of the angels. Love it.
Yes. So, yes. So, Lee Majors played him. And I guess you could say he was a superhero because he had super strength. Mm-hmm. And he was able to run and jump and look and see way far away. And a lot of the shows were about espionage and helping people, and of course astronaut related to the military. So the military and CIA and FBI were all kind of entangled in that. Wonder Woman had that kind of military feeling also a little bit. She was always, there were several episodes where she was saving military guys from falling over ledges and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess that was kind of part of it. She was, I think, originally in the military, if I am not mistaken. Incredible Hulk was just about a scientist. And again, Amazing Spider-Man was just kind of, it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
Yeah, not so Amazing Spider-Man, I guess.
No, not so Amazing Spider-Man. Again, the premise is that, a kid, early adult, gets bitten by a spider, a radioactive spider, and all of a sudden he's got these superpowers. So it's, at the time it was kind of a cool thought, and but unfortunately the way they made the TV show, it wasn't realistic. Although the Greatest American Hero really wasn't that realistic either, because he would. What I liked about Greatest American Hero was the fact that this was this is a regular human being. I think he was a teacher, regular human being, but he would do these super things, but he was super clumsy. He would try to fly, and he couldn't fly for the first time, and he tried to fly, and all of a sudden he falls on his face. So it's actually, if you watch it, it's actually pretty funny.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's very, very funny. It's like this. It's almost like a takeoff on a suit. Yeah. Guy who really wants to be one, and gets this suit and tries to be one, and actually is one, but actually isn't. He's got a lot of clumsiness. He falls over everything. He's just really super clumsy. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. What are your it was very amusing, very funny. If you get a chance to watch it because it's very funny. That is also streaming somewhere too. I can't remember where that's streaming, but I'm pretty sure that's streaming too. These were difficult. Weren't difficult to watch. They were typical 70s kind of. We don't have a lot of what do you call it, special effects to be able to make this look good at all. So it some of this was really bad. I mean, especially the Amazing Spider-Man, which was just horrible. And then what happened, Kyle, is that they started to make these movies, these Spider-Man movies. So the first Spider-Man,
like based on the shows.
They derived from the Amazing Spider-Man TV show. Right. So they made 3 different movies. It was a trilogy, and I'm putting that in quotes on purpose. The first one was made in 1977, as you can tell. The Amazing Spider-Man was obviously, they thought that if it was popular as a TV show, maybe we could throw it out to the movies and it'll be even more popular. Not even close. Actually, super, super bad, actually. So the Spider-Man movie, which was called just unbelievably Spider-Man, it's actually from 1977. And it was all about hypnosis. The premise was hypnosis.
Okay.
And it was kind of a weird premise to start off a series.
All right.
But there was a bad guy. Of course, there's always bad guys in this, and there's always a bad guy. Now, the guy who played Peter Parker is a guy named Nicholas Hammond.
Right.
He was the original star from the movies. And he was in all 3 of the movies. The trilogy. The trilogy was made by Columbia Pictures. Every single time.
Just like new ones. Actually, the Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield ones, they were all Columbia Pictures, also.
Yeah, exactly. So they kind of took over the series after that. And actually, the Tobey Maguire series being so much better.
Way better.
than this one. So the second movie was done in, I think, 1978, and it was called I can't even say it. It's so funny. Spider-Man Strikes Back.
Okay, what is Darth Vader in the movie? Like, what the hell?
I was thinking they may want to throw Luke and Darth and a couple other guys in there, maybe Leia. This was
creates a spider saber and fights Darth
exactly
Vader.
the spider saber that went through the air or something like that. I don't know. It was probably that bad.
That sounds amazing.
This was about nuclear war. So this was about something nuclear.
Wow.
So that was totally different premise. And then the last one, which they should have stopped at number 2. The last one was called Spider-Man. No idea. Dragon's Challenge.
What?
Late 1978, they decided to make a third one. And the third one was called Dragon's Challenge. Now, I started to watch the if you go to YouTube, you can watch the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's about assassination. This one has nothing to do with nuclear or hypnosis. So all 3 movies had a different premise. Now, one of the problems with all 3 of these movies, now you call it a trilogy. A trilogy is typically a movie, or a set of 3 movies, that is actually interconnected. There's a problem with these 3 movies. They're not even close to being interconnected. There is nothing. There is absolutely nothing.
Just the actor.
Nothing. Yes, just the actor that plays Peter Parker.
Wow.
And Spider-Man. That's it. There's nothing that relates the first Spider-Man movie with the second or third one at all. 0. Actually, the third one, so interesting.
Yeah.
The third one had a character, a bad guy, named Mr. White. I couldn't look this up, people. Look this up. I could not make this stuff up. I actually did the research.
Wow.
Yes. I was bored for about 10 minutes. I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this trailer. So, unbelievably, I recognized the actor to Mr. White. Mr. White is a character actor named Robert Alda. Robert Alda is Alan Alda's father from MASH. Alan Alda was a guy from MASH. I think he was in Old Golden Pond too. He's in a couple other movies. I'm not sure about Old Golden Pond. Don't check me on that. But he was in a lot of other. He was after he did MASH, but he's obviously known. He's also on The West Wing. Played one of the candidates that was going for president against Jimmy Smith toward the end of West Wing. So it was Robert Alda. I was like, oh, well, how did they get Robert Alda? Yes.
Mr. White.
Mr. White. So the other ones, and the other ones kind of go back to the comic books.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones were Green Goblin, which was, I think, one of the first ones.
Yeah. He's his arch nemesis. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then there's the Lizard.
Mm-hmm.
The Lizard. And then the last one, or one of the other ones that is a character called Zeitung. These are bad guys. That's all I really know. Mr. White is perfect. Again,
of all of them.
And in the last movie, there was a woman. We talked about this pre-show. Also, there's a woman called Rosalind Cho. Rosalind Cho, one of her first ever acting, I mean, real, like I'm in a movie kind of acting, was in the last movie, Spider-Man Dragon's Challenge. I'm talking about this. And Rosalind Cho had a character in that movie, and she actually went on to play a character on Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Cool.
So, and she's also doing very well as a character actress now. So she started off. I sure it didn't derive from that last movie because it was absolutely horrible. So yeah, that's what. Now, the biggest thing about this whole thing, Kyle, is that Stan Lee, reader, Marvel, actually was very critical of these movies. He hated them, couldn't stand them. Now, if anybody's done any research on Stan Lee does not have a problem speaking his mind.
Yeah.
And
Open.
yeah, he thought the movies. Check this out. You're gonna love this. So this is what Stan Lee said to a entertainment reporter. He said these three movies left out personality, humor, and human interest. They are effing horrible. Now, these movies are on VHS. They are not, the three Spider-Man movies I talked to you about are not located on any streaming app that I've ever seen. It has been reported that they're not on any streaming. Although, Kyle, you and I got to find them. We got to watch these movies.
Lord, I love that.
You can come over. I have a VHS at my house. We'll find them on VHS, and you have to come over and watch them. We have to watch these, and we have to devote one episode just
like a reaction episode, kind of
reactions and stuff like that to them because they're awesome. Now, I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there to our subs, to people that watch our show. If you see these movies, I'd love to know what you think of these movies. If you think any different than I do, and again, I only watch trailers. I have not. I don't remember watching these movies. I was a youngster at the time, so I don't remember. Preteen at the time, so I don't remember watching these movies. I do remember watching The Amazing Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Wonder Woman, America's Funniest Home Videos. No, I watched the $6 Million Man, and I also watched Greatest American Hero for a while until it really got really stupid.
Okay.
So, and that was pretty close. But that's. I would love to hear if anybody's actually seen it out there and has a different opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And let us know if you guys know any place where we can get it, or even maybe stream it, or if there's like another site that's not Netflix.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna look it up, and I'll have some information on our next on our next show. But let me or I'll just put it onto. I'll try to put it onto the page if I can. But definitely in the next show, I'll have some information on it. Try to figure out where we can find it. I know the report said that it's only on VHS, that it has not even, at the time, there was just VHS back then. So, whether it was, I don't think it was popular enough to actually get itself onto DVD.
Yeah.
Maybe Columbia decided to kind of throw it out there and see if anybody would grab it. But I think they knew what it was too. That's why it's not out there. Maybe, who knows? But yeah, so those
from existence.
Yeah, exactly. And it might be hard to find, but they may be classics by now. Be classic horrible. I guess that's what it is. I mean, there's classic, really classic good, and then there's classic horrible, and then there's something that you watch because, just like you like to do this, Kyle, you watch it because it's it's like really stupid, but it's so stupid it's good.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those movies that you gotta watch it again. Meatballs is a perfect example of one of the first movies that Bill Murray did. It was done up in Canada, and it's about a camp. I went to camp growing up. My daughter went to camp growing up, and it's about a camp. And just imagine Bill Murray running your boys' camp. I mean, I went to camp, and I can't even imagine that, knowing who the boy's head was for the longest time. But, I mean, Bill Murray running a camp is just phenomenal. It would be great. Yeah. But it's a cult classic. Is it a great movie? No. I love it. I have it. It's on DVD. I got it. But it's something I just watched recently, too. It's actually on the streamer, too. But it's one of those things where it's a more of a cult classic, and if you really love Bill Murray, you're going to watch it.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's what it is. I love The Incredible Hulk, though. Probably out of all of them, The Incredible Hulk is probably what I watched the most.
Yeah.
And of course, Wonder Woman was definitely there because I was a preteen. So yeah, I mean, watching Linda Carter. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. I when I was growing up too, so actually, well, there's one movie I kind of wanted to segue into because this is a movie I discovered. Actually, I hadn't really watched this movie as a kid. But I did discover it about 10 years ago when I was in college, and I was able to watch it. I actually crazy thing. So I bummed it off of YouTube because you can actually watch the movie in full on YouTube, and it is one of the best bad movies I have ever seen. This like the acting is terrible. Like this movie has bad written all over it, but it is just for me like it's so amusing. Like I can't help but watch it and laugh at it when I see it. It's got its own heart, I guess you could say. But it's the 1990s Captain America movie. Now, now you're thinking, okay, the Captain America movies that came out now, they're pretty good, right? They're pretty solid movies. They're you know, when you go into the Chris Evans versions, you know, he is definitely by far the best on-screen Captain America I think that they've ever put out, and his movies are just great. Like they have great stories, and just a lot going on. And the thing I like about them too is that I feel like they get better and better as each of those movies go on. Like Winter Soldier to me was even better than the first one. Like that's how much like they're just so great. However, 1990s Captain America is probably one of the worst superhero movies you'll ever watch. Oh my god, that movie. Where do I even begin? So I'll start off with the cast, and this is going to be a bit of a surprise to you, Doug. So first off, the supporting characters, they had some pretty famous actors. You know, there was a guy, Ronnie Cox, who was in the original RoboCop and Total Recall, and he was in all these other kind of more cult classic type of movies. He played the president in that movie. And then there was Ned Beatty from, you know, the controversial
from everything.
Yeah, Ned Beatty was in so many movies, and
he was in Rudy. He was in Roseanne, the TV show. He was in Rudy.
Yeah,
yeah.
He was
in Roseanne. He played Dan Connor's dad. He was in lots of things.
Yeah, he was also in Christopher Reeve's Superman. He was in the incredibly controversial movie called Deliverance. I'm sure you've heard of that one. That was a crazy one.
Oh yeah, Deliverance is awesome.
Yeah, but it's one of those movies you watch and you're like, oh, it goes there. It goes there and it doesn't come back. So, but you know, Ned Beatty was in it. Chris Christopherson, that was one of his first movie roles, I think, was also in Captain America. Just this random assortment of like really incredible supporting actors, and you're thinking, how can this movie be bad? Well, it's bad. That's all. So the main character. So first of all, the main guy who played Captain America in that movie. So his name is Matt Salinger. You know, just think about that for a second. You're like, okay, who's Matt Salinger, right? Well, what did he do in the world of acting? Well, think of his last name. Who is he related to? What do you think?
Salinger. Right to. I don't know.
Think of the most famous. We're not even talking movies anymore. Just think of one of the most famous people with the last name Salinger.
I know who you're talking about. I just can't. I don't know who the person is.
All right, I'll give you a hint. Have you ever read Catcher in the Rye?
Yes, JD.
Yes, that's his son.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Wow. That's incredible.
Right? Like it's unbelievable. It's like wow. Like I had no idea when I first saw that movie, and you know, like it was just the movie itself is just wow. The budget is so bad. like he's barely in the suit for the movie. He's like they throw him in the suit for like the first maybe like into like maybe 20 minutes in the movie. He's in the suit for 10 minutes, and then he gets defeated. He gets strapped to a rocket by the freaking Italian Red Skull. I don't know why they made him Italian in this movie. He's supposed to be German in the other versions in the comics but yeah, no, he's the Italian Red Skull for whatever reason. And he had the worst prosthetic makeup on. Oh my god, he looked horrible. Like,
Wow.
oh man, like you look at his face, it looks like a pizza just exploded onto his face. Like that's how bad it is. It's like, oh man, oof. It's like if a 5-year-old had tried to replicate Freddy Krueger's makeup and just used like ketchup and like just it's awful, so bad.
Bad. Very bad.
But what I find interesting about that about that particular version of the Red Skull is, as bad as the movie is, I actually liked one of the few good things I can say about the movie is I liked actually the amount of depth they gave that villain. The actor who played him was actually pretty good. He was probably I'd say to me he was like the scene stealer. He chewed up the scenery so hard sometimes, but he had this evil cackle and like everything, and it was so over the top and so silly. But I gotta give the actor credit who played him. I can't. I'm blanking on his name, unfortunately. But if you guys look at the 1990 Captain America, he did it really well. I thought, like for what he was given and for the overall quality of the movie. It's just like, oh wow. But so the story of the movie is probably where it really fails. Not only does it look terrible, but the story is just all over the place. Like it does try to actually do the Captain America story. It does have a lot of comparisons to the very first one, where you see him in World War II. He goes off. He gets injected with the superpowers, and he chases a guy who betrays him. And then he falls into the ice. Like he literally gets strapped to a missile like freaking Daffy Duck, and he just like crashes into the ice. And it's so silly.
Is it Ronnie Cox?
Is it what?
Ronnie Cox.
He's the president in that movie.
He is. Ned Beatty, Matt Salinger. Darren McGavin is in it?
Darren McGavin. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
He is. He
plays General Fleming.
Oh yeah, he was like a small. Yeah. That's right. Oh yeah. That's the other famous guy. I remember.
Darren McGavin. He was on Night Stalker. Yeah, I mean Darren McGavin is phenomenal.
Yeah, great actor, and he was also.
Get the pants off me, but it's all good. I mean. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Night Stalker. Yeah, he was also. I'm sure a lot of people have also seen Christmas Story, and he was the dad in that. And right, wasn't he the father in Christmas Story too?
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Yeah, with the leg lamp and everything. Like.
Yep, that was him.
Yeah.
Scott Poland.
That's the guy. Scott.
The Red Skull. The Red Skull.
Yeah, he's a surprisingly good actor. I got to give him so much credit for really chewing up the scenery and just giving it his all for this movie. Like he did a pretty solid job. But the story that like even he couldn't save the movie. Like it was just, the story was just so bad. They rushed through his whole origin story. They do that within the first 10 minutes. And he's pretty much only in the suit for like maybe 20 minutes out of like the 2 hours the movie lasts. Like it's ridiculous.
Is it as ridiculous as the fact that in the first Spider-Man movie in 1977, that the first fight scene happens 3/4 into the movie?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. In other words, there's no fight scene until 3/4 into the movie. Talk about a slow beginning.
Oh,
middle. Not in the middle, it's toward the end.
Oh no. Well, at least this movie, I mean, I'll be incredibly terribly shot and edited fight scenes, but at least they have them in there in the first like 10 to 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, really. No, this I just looked it up on IMDb, so that's why I got them right here. So.
Nice. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, this movie is a sight to behold. It just rushes through everything. The way they characterize Captain America is ridiculous. Like there's not one, but 2 scenes where he's driving with someone and he pretends to be sick, like he runs out of the car, and then the person's like, "Oh, are you okay?" That, they're following behind him. They're saying, "Oh, are you okay, Captain America? Are you sick?" And then he drops back. He just sprints back to the car and steals it. He carjacks 2 people in the movie. It's so
What?
yeah, it's ridiculous. And like to add to the ridiculousness, like Red Skull's. So okay, how in the first Captain America movie, Red Skull had an army. He had well-trained military soldiers in his army, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had an evil scientist. He was powerful. He had every means to get Captain America and pretty much take over the world. He even had a friggin' Tesseract. He had that too, and he used that to. The Red Skull in this movie, first of all, he only has the makeup for like 5 minutes, and then they jump into the future, or in the present, I'm sorry, and he just like barely fixes his face. He's not even Red Skull anymore. He just puts like, I don't know, he paints his face all like white or whatever. It's ridiculous. He tries to like blend in with, I don't know, humanity, and like his main villains are a group of like supermodel women. Like they're just these like,
oh no, oh no, really?
Yeah, he just has these girls who look like they were like Charlie's Angels rejects, and they just try to like,
oh, no.
they're like slowly pulling the guns out while Captain America's like riding away on a bicycle. Like, oh my god, it is so bad.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah, and then like the whole movie, he doesn't even have the suit on. Like they find him in the ice, he comes out of it, and then he doesn't even have the suit till like the last the very final showdown in the movie. It's like, I don't even know why they bother putting the suit on in the first place, because he barely wears it. And another fun fact too is when you see him wear the suit, so apparently behind the scenes, it hurt Matt Salinger's ears to put the suit on. So how do you think they would fix a problem like that?
They would probably be able to put some kind of, make the suit just come up here to about here, and then have him wear some kind of helmet or some kind of hat as opposed to.
It was like his mask that was kind of hurting him. So what they did, believe it or not, you'd think that they'd have like a logical solution for this, but no, they put prosthetic ears onto the suit, and if you look closely, they look so fake. Oh my god.
1990s film, man. 1990s film with absolutely no budget.
Oh yeah, it was so bad. And one of the interesting things was, so the movie was directed by Albert Pyun, who actually had directed some episodes, I believe, of the Hulk series. And he wasn't a bad choice to do it, but I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the writing or if it was just like, oh, that movie was so bad. But like for me, it's like one of those enjoyably bad movies. Like you just kind of like enjoy the terrible acting.
It's like you gotta watch it. You gotta watch it because it's like almost stupid, right? So you gotta watch it.
It is so stupid. There's a line where he's like, he throws the shield, and then the president picks it up, and he like whacks one of the henchmen. This is like toward the end of the movie. They're on this like Red Skull's private island or whatever. It's so stupid. And he goes, "Mr. President, thanks."
Oh, bad acting.
I'll see if I can. Maybe I'll throw the clip on here. Maybe I'll see if I can just throw it on there. Maybe at the end or or somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, you should throw the clip on there, definitely. Ronnie Cox, by the way, if anybody knows Eddie Murphy, he actually played Lieutenant Bogomil of the Los Angeles Police Department on Beverly Hills Cop.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yep. Great, very, very talented character actor. Ronnie Cox played in that particular. All right, I'm doing the research right here. He played. What did he play in the movie? In the Captain America movie, he played Tom Kimball.
Oh yes, President Kimball.
Yep. So Ronnie Cox was Lieutenant Bogomil of the California, LA County Police Department on the Eddie Murphy movies, and he was great. I think he played this. Yeah, he played Lieutenant Bogleman.
Nice.
So that's kind of where he comes from.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know if Matt Salinger did any movies other than that one.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think that movie killed his career. Like that movie is just like so. It's just so all over the place. Oh, and one last thing too, I wanted to add: the fight scenes in that movie, the way they edit them. Oh my goodness, the editing is so choppy. There's so many quick cuts. Like I'm not even joking. I want to say there's like 15 cuts to just Captain America turning around to fight Red Skull. Like that's how crazy this movie is. Like I feel like there was just no direction. There's just not. Oh my god, it's just like oh, but yeah. So, anyways,
yeah,
it was
crazy.
Yeah, like just a crazy movie. I definitely recommend checking out if you guys can find it. It is so just amusing in its own way. It's got its own thing going for it.
Oh, definitely. That definitely sounds like it. It's definitely worth watching just to see how crazy and possibly stupid it is. I mean, it's worth it just to watch it to
100%.
see what it's like. I mean, just like the Spider-Man movies, it's worth it to just check them out to see what it's like.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree with that. And just to kind of go a little quickly through the some of the other ones I watched, I had already talked about the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. I feel like every episode I find a way of talking about them because I just love them so much.
But those were actually really, really super good.
Yes, those are my favorite.
I thought some parts of them were kind of, Gene Hackman and Christopher Reeves and Margot Kidder. All these actors and actresses were great. I thought, in some parts it kind of looks like things are plastic when they should look a little bit better. But again, it's the 80s, so it makes sense. But I thought those movies were great. I loved those movies.
Yeah.
Anybody should go out and get those and see that trilogy. How many did they make?
Technically quadrilogy, actually. There's 4 of them.
Oh, it's a quad. Okay. Yeah, I thought they made a 4th one. I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would recommend those. I would absolutely recommend them.
Yeah. Even though the 4th one does have some of the worst effects, and
4th one is horrible as far as I'm concerned. They should have stopped it. I understand, but I just think they should have stopped it.
Yeah. 3 was an interesting one. I'll say about 3 was, the fact that they put Richard Pryor as essentially the main character, I thought was a very odd choice. I'm surprised they just decided not to make a Richard Pryor movie out of it without Superman.
That's right.
Like it was just kind of silly, but
it was very odd.
Like it was definitely the weirdest one out of the bunch. I'd say 1 and 2 are definitely by far the best ones when it comes to like in terms of quality. 3 is wow. I can't even begin with 3. I don't know what.
3's a little out there. 3's out there.
Oh yeah, so out there. But it does have, I think, one of the best Christopher Reeve Superman performances and even fight scenes of all time in that movie. Because I'm sure you remember when he turned evil, right?
Yes.
When he was evil Superman, so I liked the way they did that progression because he starts off kind of funny. Like he just kind of does very more petty things. Like he doesn't like go around destroying cities. You think like he'd be destroying cities and like throwing cars around and all that stuff. No, what he does is he straightens Leaning Tower of Pisa and he blows out the Olympic torch while the guy's like running up.
Exactly. Yes. Kind of strange things to do, but like I'm gonna be evil and just do them. Did he do something with the Eiffel Tower too? Did something with the Eiffel Tower, I thought. Can't remember what it was.
He well, that was in the second movie. He actually saved Lois from falling from the tower.
Right. No, I knew it was something. I just
and that was a cool scene.
That was good. That was definitely good.
But the way they actually did Evil Superman was he got creepier and creepier as the movie went on because as you saw him fly around, his costume started to get dirtier, and like, the red was now kind of more of like a dark maroon color, and
Mm.
he was growing a beard. He had like a shadow going on, and
Yeah,
by
they morphed him into something that they thought would be more evil looking.
yeah, he just progressively gets creepier and creepier and worse and worse, and it gets to the point where he's at a bar and he's just getting drunk. He's throwing back red labels and he's getting drunk, and he like flicks peanuts at the and breaks the mirror, and people are just like looking at him like, whoa, what happened to you, man? Like, and yes, there is a drunk flying scene. I'm not even kidding me. Or I'm not even kidding you. Sorry.
Yeah.
There is literally a drunk flying scene in the movie. That's
Yeah,
how crazy.
you have to see it. It's good. It's kind of crazy and weird, and
So
like
weird.
you'll be like, what?
Yeah.
But it's good that way. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, and when you see what happens after, it culminates. I won't spoil it too much, but it culminates in my opinion, one of, if not maybe the best fight scene in the whole Superman quadrilogy. It is unbelievable, and the way they did those effects and everything, you'll see what I mean. Like, it is mind-blowingly incredible. Like you have like it's one of those scenes where you just have no idea where this movie is going to go from there, and then this movie just it has one of the most triumphant fight scenes I've ever seen, and I love it. It's fantastic. It's easily the highlight of the movie for me. But yeah, aside from that, I had watched the Max Fleischer Superman cartoon too, and pretty much, growing up, I watched a little bit of the '60s Batman as well with Adam West and Burt Ward, and I loved how, especially in the movie, hi Groot, I loved how in the movie where he's carrying a bomb, he goes, "Oh, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb," and
A little different than our Robert Downey Jr. scene when he decides to take the nuclear weapon up into up into the void.
Yeah, right.
And then did you know the fact that he just makes it out of there? Are you sensing as he goes up and all of a sudden he kind of falls asleep and he starts falling?
Mm-hmm.
You have a sense at that point that he's actually going to get through. Yeah, of course you do, because it's Iron Man. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. But yeah, that's what reminds me of that particular scene. I think every superhero has to take some kind of nuclear device and do something with it. Take it to the moon, or take it into space, or
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, every superhero has to do at least that.
I always loved it when they throw into the sun. That was one of my favorite scenes in the fourth movie, where he like takes a bag of missiles. He finds like a giant space net of missiles, and he just hammer throws it into the sun, which is like so beautiful.
Very cute. Very good.
Oh man, but yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Like, I watched all the stuff, and of course, we can always save it for another episode into the more like the Tobey Maguire movies, and like sort of the slightly newer Marvel movies that came out like right before the MCU. That I feel like that could be a whole other episode too, where we can,
Oh, definitely, absolutely, yeah.
But
definitely do
that. Definitely. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Although I was thinking before we head out, I did want to actually throw another question out there. See if people.
Yeah, please do. Yes, absolutely. Love these questions. These questions are awesome.
And
they're what we call in the industry thinkers. Thinkers, man.
So actually, was there anything else you wanted to go over before we move into the question? Or
no, we're good. I'm all good. We talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Very excited to get that episode out there and have people listen and put their comments in and stuff like that. Definitely, absolutely. No, the only thing I want to say is remember, just remember our sponsor is Zeitung Organizing. So we'll have a link to the Zeitung Organizing site, so you just need something organized or whatever, just think about them. They're very good. So, but that's pretty much it for me. Remember, we're on YouTube, and obviously, you'll see at the end. But obviously, subscribe and hit the bell. We got some great episodes coming up. And we're Kyle and I are going to talk about what we're going to do in future episodes. And we've already talked about having some guests on. I know Kyle's got some friends that really love Marvel, and I'm sure they'd love to come on. And we're certainly thinking about having some really super content that's coming up, and some great guests that are coming up too. So subscribe and hit the bell. That's all I got, man.
Nice. And before we log off here, I was gonna actually throw you an interesting piece of information. So how you mentioned earlier about Captain Marvel, that that Captain Marvel you thought was a male superhero, right? Well, turns out he actually was.
Oh, okay. There it is. That's probably where I get it from, man.
Yeah. So you were right. So I wanted to see if people, and I'm sure like the super diehard nerds will know this right away. How do I ask this? What is the current name of that version of Captain Marvel, of the male Captain Marvel, I should say?
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. I do not know. Well, we'll have to get it out there. Yeah, I don't know. That should be a good one. That's definitely a great question there, Kyle. I love these questions. And we got some great episodes coming up. We're gonna be playing some games later on. We're gonna do our best and worst movies. Definitely watch out for an episode coming up on sitcoms. We're going to talk more Marvel, and then we're going to go into this our what we do. Basically, Marvel at the Movies is all about Marvel movies in our first segment, and then the second segment we talk about just regular movies that are out there. Great content tonight. Very excited about being together with you again, Kyle. Had a great time, and please subscribe and hit the bell.
All right, and thank you guys for listening in, and we will see you next time. All right, thanks.
Absolutely. Take care.
Mr. President, thanks.